The advantage is collective memory. Improper copyright protection, Holocaust era works constraints collective memory. Only access to authentic artifacts, remediation, unjust abuse, and genders remembrance. True for free. 18. The Holocaust. The only countless artifacts. These include propaganda and the diaries and Nazi figures. The interface between the copyright and the Holocaust. Its question numerous materials are subject to the copyright protection remains. So Nazi materials and manuscripts. Many other critics throughout the world. There's a number of works whose authors are under the copyright ranges for 95 years after the publication of the work. First occurred after the work 120 years after creation. Memory refers to recollection memories or shape of the social process. Collective memory integral to self and ideological political arcs. Though memories based on artifacts, original documents, increase have engagement. Mind to the just to discriminate and make it difficult to perceive the reality of the other planet illustrates the time there is not like it is on Earth to inhabit us unlimited and not live nor within according to the laws of the world. Understanding necessitates the material to unravel the other planet Earth and memory to find authentic to the law plays a part in construction memory and Shaw's about narrative to the forward the copyright by controlling the legal origin of the grains whereas by controlling the actual copyright governs the use of collection memory. This copyright can affect construction memory propaganda as clear to protect this entails royalties and many may post restraints on research institutes or constraining copyright is not designed to access entire works copyright constitutes an impediment materials and often meant to be distributed to the market. Trying to institute the only way to preserve those works. Institutions engage case by case clearance, costly and impact of the class, such as more complicated schemes that provide only the business question of application yield and undesirable chilling found to make it difficult to predict the argument on uncertainty to those seeking materials risk aversion various users prevent institutions are not for popular policies from like reflect risk aversion works the wrong media available demolish the museum issues even though they are middle of the optimals we could assume that they have chilling effects of copyrights rational and control instead of vice production of the advantages with victims facing genocide narratives instead of our relevant copyright can hinder dissemination of manuscript reveals authors could copyright and act as a for memory, though to preserve a culture that is being eradicated, victim faces genocide, character works, and purpose to document the Holocaust. The copyrighted words perpetrated the ability to control the narratives by what can be said by whom, under which condition, ordinary applicants creates an implicit impression that these are works which this is not to promote a foreign protection, not normalizes work. The impact is legalized anti-Semitism and continuous silencing Holocaust victims. Ever 22 copyright is meant to protect incentivized in a manner that is beneficial to creators and illustrated Jewish persons who have made the class challenge and the deprived of rights to the works against receive protection. Copyright failed to fulfillment person free knowledge and control of the works are held today in archives. The whole of them are not make works available due to copyright concerns, cultural legal anti-Semitic activities and must be translated into rules. Protection of copyright is protection of moral rights. A check on artistic expropriation and dehumanization. Number 22 dialogue requires the other as he wishes to be seen. Copyright protection through those set of moral rights to prevent that preserve an author's meaning of mental lack of protection may strip an important aspect of persona moral rights personification of personality and expression barriers to expropriation features personality right integrity gives an author the right to creativity and moral rights. Entry use of acknowledge the worker's uniqueness and wholeness and moral rights encourage returns towards the other matching reality the other confirm the other as a person. Other-based solutions are key. Nothing else can counter the legitimization of racist works ensconced in the status quo. Sure, for every 22, the case of racism through the crux lies in legitimacy the copyrighted works alongside the grants and owners to manipulate that analysis calls for a solution that would focus on the owner. Reinterpretation of doctrine improves Holocaust remembrance through expansion of implied consent and classification of Nazi works as misuse. Sure, for every 18, copyright should be applied to materials in a way that encourages the remembrance to be focused on the extent arson of the interpreter's words and not require amendments. Attributes may also apply in additional cases. Yet, applicant requires scrutiny of research. The license requires explicit consent applied license provides all listening as absence consent. The doctrine was expanded and field to development could be injected reasonable Holocaust materials constitute candidates to implied license. The materials were acts of preservation wish to ensure the use of the consuming or disposal of an implant consent automatic fulfillment of other wishes uses. Otherwise, only those consistent the status can be inferred for the can be inferred for the working circles we now advocated now the copy in light of constant to the copyright misuse could apply in an exceptional case of protection should withdraw case law indicating the least come the question is will the copyright is violated of public policy about the copyright protection Nazi materials are difficult to test and enable the purchaser to rely on copyright producers looking for to mitigate distortion and recognize the Nazi materials as ordinary entitling were in the paradox of rising misuse is consistent with the doctrine of the misuse involving challenges in the matter of case that constitute copyright as support predictability or proposal is to recognize words created in the United States relevant category recognition of system development. Thus, the plan, the United States federal government should significantly strengthen its protection of domestic intellectual property rights and copyrights regarding Holocaust-related works. Finally, its framing. Be rationally optimistic. Extinction risks are not infinite, checked by intervening actors and structurally unlikely. To maximize utility through moderation. Paragraph 20. If humans are infinite, this is hard to prioritize the probability rules to infinite cost of humanities. If it is finite, there's only using total energy in the universe and all an event leading to humanities and say 1% of 1% to argue that we should expend our resources to these resources. We are knowledgeable that it just a text to save resources the best way to curb this income poverty. That's one that's dropping 30% of the capacity of greatest announcing capacity government taking action to reverse some serious. An example is decarbonization makes it more because it serves our self-interest. Don't fall prey to possibilism, error after correct. For representative bias in the conjunction policy, Montgomery Twain represented the cognitive bias results of proposition to assume that a single event resembles an existing in one category. This can result in associating outcomes entirely with people. Judge events to be more likely if their unfolding fits from the observer's worldview. It's like the conjunction fallacy where people think that the center of the good or conditions is likely more detailed scenarios are the more likely they'll seem. Possibilistic calculus hampers long-run utility maximization. Montgomery Twain scenario generation. Who's focused on scenarios at the expense of commonplace ones, AI accomplishments impossible, the cards are likely dangerous for artists become distorted by oversensitization, considers 90% worse scenarios, so assume this surprise to the worst case, planning may increase probability of negative possible effects, surprise attacks, such as the entire trigger blow, increase probability of accidental use, scenarios road to the threat, destruction, assume to check scenarios heavy literals around a rock, to the 1% auction, the strategy, the purpose case, planning, cumulative, probably about finding metaphors for outcomes, fiction, risk, displacing knowledge, regular determination, reducing nature, results in psychological factors. The DISAT is capped at low risk, boy 23 risking and also long probability of causing a catastrophe across the review of CC's round probability estimates. AI 0.001%, headache 0.0003%, nuclear war 0.0001%, climate change 0.001%, environmental damage 0.001%, pandemic 0.001%. We also control high magnitude tail end risk, but without 18 genocides must never be allowed. Remembrance provides platform for the explore the ways in which put an end to the genocide, symbolize the condemnation, ideological less. This is recognized the Holocaust be treated as Jewish problem only. Remember the world must see warning against repetition by allowing genocide to be characterized as locally invent the world to look the other way just as it did 1 million children murdered, many Dolores men have been among the world lost enormous riches that would have benefited humanity while making the Holocaust catastrophic without Jewish victims. Overcorrect F. Anti-Semitism is underrated and overlooked. Conley 23, 85% of believe in one Jewish child's conversation where hundreds of children remains weak. The anti-Semitism is overlooked as part of the nation's ways to not convince the world that Jewish people are not oppressed. Conflation of the Holocaust remembrance with Israel's discourse of anti-Semitism and the reason that the plan is key. Qual 23. Now is the time for reminding the world about marginalization, disturbing complexity, hostility to Jewish stories, around Jewish stories tainted by Israel, incidents, anti-Semitism normalized. We need to be proud as narratives of persecution, education, integral to our complete corrupt, given the effectiveness of storytelling for raising awareness. Those in prison are pieces of puzzle that must be further. Our prison the opportunity to like narratives to be the way for conversation about change because they're fairness. Spaces so the flexibility discourse are provide an important tool and can serve as a change agent for the discourse surrounding anti-Semitism. How can one transform memories that are renders a force into life and commitment to here and now? Debate over Holocaust era works uniquely breeds informed students capable of exporting their skills. Current 12. Education should apply students to understanding their rights. Choice is pedagogy must highly concentrate the study of the Holocaust can accomplish due to facts and firm, but their own ideals now. Education must lead to discussion of violence. Education leads by the facts whether there's no worldview, their incorrect character, and interpreting structure, the high the ideas ones that do below, so literature is becoming closer to performing these operational elements of the higher members, especially if we look back through these tests, we can see the afflictions, crystallizing around ideas. The F is key. The interface of copyright and the Holocaust is uniquely scarce. Third generation Holocaust survivors are calling for the plan. Zemmer 21. Copyright coded by prisoners is submitted from research works and post stores. Individuals formed a part of the horror environment surrounding prison. Absence of has grenade and an obligation to permit the bodies to occupy patrons left to appearance and have been assigned from the moment the person deprived of the rights to do other works have yet to receive protection. Copyright is also going to restrict knowledge from illegitimate sheltered literature covers only one subject. Literature via a discourse on copyright. The artists are manifested by suburbs. Works created by people who were in Holocaust camps, they currently do not have protection because those people died during the Holocaust. What?
Does this include Nazi works?
No, so
Why
the...
not? Are they not Holocaust related?
No, it does. So the last card on the first advantage says that the plan would not only do an implied license for copyright of like Holocaust Jewish related things, but it would also apply a misuse doctrine to Nazi works and say that those things
but
are
this
in
card
line
seems
with
to say that we should weaken protection of Nazi works made during the Holocaust through the copyright misuse standard. I guess the plan says it would strengthen that.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't weaken copyright. It does an implied license doctrine that has all those Jewish works that aren't copyrightable now because the workers are like the
Okay, but I'm
the
asking about
people are
works
dead.
that were not created by Jewish people.
Yeah, we would use a misuse doctrine.
The plan says it would strengthen protection, though.
Yeah, that strengthens protection.
Using the misuse doctrine strengthens protection?
Yeah.
How?
Well, we'll read a card in the 2AC that says that
Okay.
like strengthening protection is about aligning with the intent of copyright law. The Sure Offer card says that Nazi works are diametrically opposed to how copyright law is supposed to be functioning.
The first Sure-Offer card says that the authors of the works usually have unknown identities. How does a plan identify the authors of these works?
Yeah, so the implied consent stuff that Jerry was talking about, right, it doesn't give them necessarily to a named author because the point is that they're dead. Rather, the people that have the right to copyright would be remembrance institutions, museums, historical, like, search groups, things like that, which is key in order to preserve their work, even if we don't know who exactly created the work.
So like any museum or organization can get a copyright?
But lastly, we've read evidence that says third generation Holocaust survivors call for the plan, so it'd also probably be like familial.
How does a plan like determine familiar relations? Like is the Copyright Office doing like genetic testing?
Well, no, like if you know who did it, but if you don't, then it's like implied consent to a museum.
Okay, so if you can do genetic testing, then you do genetic testing.
Okay, like the
and
plan
if
does not like
It's like
commit
there's
to
like
genetic testing.
like you have ancestry.
You just said familial relations.
Like
How
if
about-
it is
there's
possible, that could be a potential normal means. It's not like any mandate of the plan.
Okay, I want to talk about the museum thing you said. So
Uh-huh.
you said that museums would have an implied license to the copyright. How does that function? Do they have to apply with the Copyright Office? Does each museum apply for the same copyright, or can only one museum have access to a particular work?
Jerry.
What was the question?
Like, would the museum, like, would multiple museums be able to access the same copyrighted work, or like, is it just the first museum?
It would be
applies?
it would probably be the first one.
Okay, so not all museums would be able to like display copyrighted work.
Yeah, but it's like whichever remembrance institution wants to display certain work, they have to first get that copyright and then they can display.
Okay, so it's kind of just like a race between the institutions to
I
determine.
mean, I
who
wouldn't
gets
call
copyright.
it a race, but like
Well, you just said it's a first to apply.
yeah, it's not like a race. Like no one's like racing.
I sent out the one in C. It's 6 off, collective memory, and then free. Oh yeah, sure. Thank you.
Okay, I'm good.
It was just good. The first off is the core clog. This core clog is declining its but it's on the brink. Runner straight forward. The challenge is proceeding, making room for a clearer path. Cases up for 45% all the aspects expecting an increase. With delays being cited by 127%, course enjoy broad engagement with tech solutions across the board. The easy and moving towards this solution improve course. Admission over work friendly move to backwards school to get reading routine. Manage challenges as course look to the 24 hour day. Do so without the pandemic and start taking advantage of efficiencies. The protection of moral rights is incredibly legally complex. Many countries have tried but have failed, and attorneys will not follow through on these issues, turning the case Schiller. 13. Complexity and variation of moral rights also difficult to make a simple copyright many moral rights cause are flawed tendencies to apply moral rights to work international laws reveal ineffectual. The hearts of readers will have to say pursuing arbitration forward. Make clause proposed attorneys avoid dealing with these issues. Backlogs in the federal courts next democracy. John 1 to 15. No matter the issue of marriage, quality, voting, healthcare, immigration, the U.S. federal courts provide a role in courts in the majority of cases have the final say. This is why federal district courts are so important. Case laws can backlog access to justice, limited with justice or court justice significant. Legally, the federal courts provide a role in preserving democracy. Democratic governance is key to stop existential threats such as warming pandemics and managing authoritarian leaders. Law 22, democratic governance is more important than ever. Humanity is not precision challenges the exercise of our climate. Equal pandemic, civil war, human rights, democracy has utter disregard to citizenry, healthy environmentally, democracy holds a promise for accountability to meet these threats. If democratic policies are not meeting these needs that humans should request for destructive ways that mean seeking power to scapegoating. Next up, the next up is the fair use design. The courts are being locks in application of this copyright protections now specifically benefiting tech-intensive industries. Drozwinski 20 The innovation test foundations of copyright purpose and balancing just enable use of copyright did not concede to fill within the strict interpretation of statutory law. Incentive-based utilitarian actions easier to observe in the U.S. Enshrined in the Constitution, derivative public good has been named the ultimate goal of copyright undertaking of lawmakers, courts alike. Striking a balance appears to underlie every major document related to the framework of copyright. Excessive production should stifle the supply of new works. These considerations put judges in a position more flexible application because to be or for innovation. The plan restricts fair use. 1 is sure 5, 18 we read yellow. The discussion constitutes three specific doctrines. 1 is implied license, 2 is copyright misuse, and the 3rd is fair use. The 3rd and 5 fair use doctrine may apply to both these type of material. That's the precedent. Then force future applications of copyright law. It spills over Muddock and Troy. 23 copyright services doing purpose of creative rights and access. This leaves us really in fair use and how judges work through their factors. Judges will consider reasoning of passages within the stare decisis and rationals going forward. Application of legal precedent relating to fair uses that spills over devastating productivity and employment in key industries. Years of studies prove the effect. McCleary 17. Industries that put out fair uses has grown and impacted and permits a range of activities for high-tech businesses. Fair use impact the economy, increasing imports and tech, led to an decline in global employment growth and service. Output has been instrumental growth both directly through new firms and indirectly. Fair use increased GDP by 4%. Real wages and employment. These gains spill over to the economy with demand drives wages and draws for other sectors. Increase employment therefore numerous fragile the of firms. As expanded studies, fair use is an important foundation of the economy. Opposite exceptions to entrance will face liability. A significant deterrent. Accidental and intentional great power war erupts. Compare those 20. The economy lost into pressures and changing power. Possibilities of conflict are expanding with the growth of China and Russia. Documents cannot be taken for granted. China's been left modernizing. Curious over vulnerable to Russia and China have a hard percentage goes or game over the pandemic overall contraction. However, China has been less affected and maintained better response to come out better off the pandemic. Accelerated declining power. The risk includes including arms reach hypersonic snipers, AWS and the space first leaders to launch wars, miss what happens in accidents and scramble leads to civil war countries in Eurasia, Africa, and America becoming battlegrounds for conflicts. Next up is a sweet generous counterplan. The United States federal government should implement a sweet generous regime to protect Holocaust-related works that solves the app and avoid spillover and core clog conceived by 24. There are categories that cannot be predicted by existing IP regimes. This is the case when there's need to be sweet generous protection emerges. Another reason for sweet generous derived from the need for balance. The only tax innovations and the provider's interest. The need for sweet protection is also be recognized at the international level. The dimensional scale categories can be protected by combination of standard intellectual property regimes. However, overlapping makes it difficult for intellectual property users to determine the scope, such as doctrinal overlap situation to intellectual property owners to push for stronger protections of their IPR's future rights creates a priority and grants a term of protection. The next stop is a cap case, strengthening IPR protection. It touches the contemporary economic relations and mutually exclusive with the anti-capitalist alternative right 14. The greatest of is not simply exploiting labor, not being in place of great threat to freedom. It imposes all levels of society by one corporate forces dealing with assets supporting on a regime while giving because there's too many total property rights to make a molecule. Basic freedom to research and interfere. The IPR strongly favor corporate elites and common conflict with basic regional rights. Part of the common good, maybe a technical rule making by legal conflict with the atmosphere. Of endless security, lending innovation for anyone who is already as well as reunited intellectual laborers with the products of their labor evokes smart vision. Precisely because every property seeks to avoid forced exchange with synonymous with the capitalist production. Commerce don't want to abolish all private property just so with the choose for oppression by the bourgeois intellectual property being used by corporate elites to approach all society. Speak about obstacles to freedoms. Security Marxists would be opposed to intellectual property. The real question today is not whether, but how much property should be private, how much should be in the public domain of property, particularly when it comes to ideas and information essential to learning, innovation, production, and culture. That causes global inequality to skyrocket. Hegel and 18 narrative. The poor countries are catching up. Not true there was a period of gap was shrinking, but policies are threat to the global north and investors as they responded through structural adjustments with first global south. The countries prioritize spending income having the global north and global south. That's triple since 1960. There's basically the stagnation in global south. That year there been $3 trillion now flows from south to north to the south. It's the fact that the corner of the north, the global south is developing the north side. For every dollar aid in the south receives from the north, they lose a $1.24 net outflows. The alternative is socialism. Only rejecting capital ideology allows for sustainable development and fostering 19. Socialism learns from failures in economic monopoly and financialization undermine global society and ecology. Class-based movement towards socialism opens quality to new social technology, long-term planning, and quality, solidarity, sustainability, and physical impossibility, lack of surplus, going squandered, and the technological know-how, amateur base, inherent vision, humanity, searching new internationalists, requires a logic to capitalism, new communication, law for greater action. The next stop is T substance. It means throughout words of raising each considered to mean throughout violation. The athlete predicts a specific part of copyright, allowing the app to cooperate over minuscule parts of each of the three top areas, exponentially multiplies number of topical acts, makes the equality amount and ground impossible because the app is indistinct from successful. A case. Collective memory. Copyright trolls kill solvency, great perks, 14, trolls journal work expressions, corporate trolls, competition, property, works, attorney value, power, Google book search project, videos will be any combination, gain access to corporate works. One could argue that Google book search rate diminishes copyright incentives, but permitting troll activity with contrary to copyright judges enforcement rights will impede innovation, threat to overboard copyright opposed to socially valued use of works, substantial as copyright capital companies acquiring global talk rights and enforcing against samples simply has become too expensive or too risky. The copyright laws enforce the detriment of innovation without authorized substances. The plan does not cause trolls, it causes violent authenticity testing to determine who is qualified for copyright protection under the plan. They have explicitly said in Lacey Crossix that normal means of the plan could include genetic testing, which is an automatic D-rule. You vote against them at all causes. It cannot solve Elon Musk doing a Nazi salute and leaders of the government making anti-Semitic comments. It cannot solve material instances of violence against Holocaust survivors. Copyright cannot solve for the vast majority of works such as oral traditions and works not in fixed mediums. Or explain too, most oral traditions would not be original due to their question generation, but it would also mean that non-indigenous parties would enjoy copyright with a little bit very little input from themselves. There is a risk of parties assuming oral traditions that are in the public debate can be used by anyone. The documentation should be by outsiders to the community. They become authors of that oral tradition. Since they representing oral tradition, we heard copyright but only benefit control of outsiders. The community further increases discharge copyright is not being sufficient to stop pollution by outsiders and community controlling traditions. Copyright is more used against the community. Book bans stop individuals using wreck holidays members through censorship. The fair use doctrine, part of copyright law, water selling authenticity of works opens up the door to appropriations. Ever in Leo 21, the doctrine of fair use enables more use of copyright material without permission. For exchanging property values for not sufficient for predicting authenticity or restraining constitution must add something new works that commemorate victims of Holocaust. Mark the card at Holocaust. Go to framing. We access the framing to debate that. Evaluate impacts by multiplying imaginary probability solves their offense while taking imaginary into account existential risks that we over 20. Extension will eliminate all possibilities that leave the threshold big expressional relations to evidential probability, which describes belief evaluation for occurrence. It will occur in light of our best evidence. The beliefs are on the line. Responding would be one of the world's top priorities. So a consequentialism first, extinction is irreversible. Bottom there, 18. Some cases be relatively more important than others. Lots of humanity can go extinct. Lost of all future generations. Pilot trillion lives may be uninterested. Risking will small probability times magnitude. So should try 500 trillion times the harder to prevent global catastrophe. This should save a person's life. While everyone has the right to their own views, the strongest arguments are for widely held that all human life should be valued equally. I'm good. It was the last card was marked equally. I can set our mark copy too if you want.
You good? Alright,
just to be clear, you skipped the second T, right?
Yeah.
I want to talk about the court clog disad.
Yeah.
The Schiller evidence says that these cases are complex. What card do you think says that these cases clog the courts enough to meet the brink?
I guess I'm confused by what you mean by to meet the brink. It says that in the world of the plan would result in a moral right law, which would not be a simple clause for the courts to litigate.
But
It would be complex, and it also cites empirical examples where courts have tried to apply this internationally. And those international applications, where those countries have applied things like the plan, have failed because it was so complex that people were not able
Your
to
card
litigate.
says that moral rights laws are complex. Like, where in this card does it say just Holocaust works are enough to clog the courts enough to deck all of democracy? It doesn't even say it increases
Well, I
court
mean,
cases
I don't
at
think it's we can have a card that says it will deck democracy. That's the next card in the
But
in
I'm
the
saying
doc.
there's
This card
missing an
says-
internal link between those two.
This
cards,
card
that's why.
says that moral rights are ineffectual because they're not simple. There are complexities of variation with each of these works, which means that it's complex for the courts to litigate. It also says that attorneys avoid dealing with these issues, which means that even if the act does occur, it turns the case because attorneys will not go forward to actually litigate through the cases, which means that Holocaust survivors will not be able to sue anyone.
Status.
The status was logical option.
Okay. Net benefits to sui generis is.
Court clog and school.
Okay. I want to talk about the CAPK.
Yeah.
The alternative. What does it look like?
The alternative results in the government becoming socialist.
So, like, do you fiat that socialism, like the movement starts, or do you fiat
We
that the
fiat
movement
that the government becomes
succeeds?
socialist.
The government becomes socialist. How?
We fiat.
Yeah, like how? What does that look like?
Well, the government would, do central planning and would correct negative externalities to production. We think that is sufficient to solve our impacts because our impacts are about U.S. capitalism having negative impacts across the globe.
Okay, sure. So, I guess, what is the answer to, like, a permutation that does Holocaust protection of copyright and also turns the government socialist?
Well, first of all, we read a link about intellectual property protection, how that reinvests uniquely into the capitalist
Okay, I
system.
want to talk about the link, actually. Your right evidence
We'll
says
make further
IP is
comments about
capitalist
it.
because tech corporations use it to marginalize other groups. How is this staff?
Well, first of all, I think to some level it is true for the AF because you said that there was no clear answer in cross-examination as to how people determine who actually gets these copyrights in the first place. That only opens up the avenue for people like tech giants or other people that want to appropriate Jewish culture to do the same with the plan, but it also talks about how IPR is generally a thing that is used and exploited by the corporate elites to exploit the common good
I want to talk about
and reduce
framing.
innovation.
This ORD evidence, existential risks outweigh. Is existence intrinsically good?
Yeah.
Is being being alive is always good, even if it's 100%
Well,
suffering.
we
while
think
you're
that
alive?
being alive gives an opportunity for us to make the world a better place
Okay,
in
but
the future.
hypothetically, if it was just literally doomed, you're going to suffer no matter what. It's still good to be alive.
Well, first of all, that's not what the 1AC is about. So
No, I know.
not
I'm just
answering
asking.
10 minutes starting now.
Andy's actually good this year.
$9.50. What's up? We're all good for an order.
Yep.
It's collective memory, the framing page, T subsets, sui generis counterclaim, core clog disad, spillover disad, capital.
I think on the top.
A call?
Look. Yeah.
Alright. Collective memory outweighs lack of protection for Holocaust works, constraints Holocaust remembrance, and allows Nazi works to control narratives, reproducing cultural and physical genocide. The impact is legalized anti-Semitism, racism, dehumanization, and continued silencing of Jewish victims. 1C1, Weberg is zero risk. It's about copyright trolls and innovations on Holocaust works. Rolling is impossible. There's only so many Holocaust works, and none can be created because it was from back then. 1C2, no authenticity testing. We use implied consent. We use past historical context and third generation survivors of term protection. The genetic testing thing is incoherent. We never said that it's normal means or part of the plan, just that it could be something that they could do. 1C3, no all causes. Return link is solely collective memory. Our evidence says artifacts of Holocaust works in museums is key because it controls the narrative. Racist people being racist isn't a reason we shouldn't do the app. 1C4, Rex is irrelevant. All of our evidence is about artifacts and Jewish works being displayed in museums. 1C5, no book bans. The app solves by allowing Holocaust work to be displayed, which solves censorship because there's full access in museums. 1C6, Emmer is wrong. The app isn't fair use, which will be below. Authenticity testing is protected by the license because implied consent uses past historical context. Very cool. Risk equals probability times magnitude. The probability is calculated through multiplying the likelihood of each eternally. Everything is probabilistic. So even if you think that when each of the four components of the disk has 70 to 30, the cumulative probability is 24%. Error of anti-Semitism is overlooked and seriously operates you telling you that it is a problem. That's a colony evidence. Deflate disk has. One is represented in disk. Subject to bias towards scenarios that align with prior knowledge, which is a disk because debate is saturated with fixation impacts, Swiss conjunction fallacy, or predisposed towards detailed stories with lots of eternal links by the fact that complexity reduces the likelihood of predictive accuracy. Or it is wrong. Voting for fixation is a fallacy. One is maximization through moderation. For the certainty, you know the plan rectifies harms of copyright, but are uncertain about the disk. Trends like poverty, war, and decarbonization who states overcome collective action problems or future tech breakthrough solve fixation. That's thus it's best to address proximate harms to play wait and see. That's Vargas to his rest policy magnitude matters linearly less the lower probability of event is because the less certainty it carries, the higher likelihood parroting reciprocally increases the unforeseen impact of equal magnitude proven by Rand simulation and Iraq. That's Montgomery. 3 is butterfly effect. Remembrance solves future genocide by denouncing ideology conducive to and remembering the scope of human harm. Plus preventing structural violence solves fixation by saving those that grow up to solve adverse. That's the Bergenthal evidence. Fourth is probability. Creating 67% opinions include impacts like climate change, democracy, etc. are kept at near zero probability. The district is even lower than that because Boyd calculates holistic risks, not just a plan. The bomb evidence was done above. Consequentialism may be good, but we disagree that extinction first magnifies utility. T. We meet plan text in a vacuum is most objective and express positional combination inmates within BA21. The proposition and lowest terms within the place that follows to express the relation of presence of the codes or sort of limits in a room. Prefer 1 half crowd, 3 asked and pick. Out of some materials, no answer. 2 is predictability or planning and common usage. Their definition is in the context of the resolution. 3 is functional limits, core called politic demarkers. The K advantage counterparts, econ and switching errors check. 4th is reasonability, good is enough. Keep prevent substance crowd out, switching errors. Permutation do both. Allow Holocaust survivors to choose by banning in all other instances. You can't solve. One is Nazi works are protected by copyrights. Only using copyright doctrine is key remedy. They only do half the plan, which can't solve Nazi works control and collective memory. That's sure or free. 2 is incoherent. The plan reinterprets existing copyright doctrine. That there is no existing switch error regime, but they can't plan to reinterpret. That's true or free. 3 is heating demands. Third generation Holocaust survivors are calling for copyright because of historical significance and symbolic integrity. That's Zemmer refusal of their calls is racist because it ignores collective trauma and dismisses their demands. 4th is separate but not equal. Switch errors relegates Holocaust works to the other planet and capable of fitting into existing doctrine. That's symbolic marginalization. Reproduces the othering of Jewish culture and psychic violence. 5th is certainty. The creation of an entirely new predictive label destroys certainty for institutions that don't know how credible it is. Risk-averse institutions can afford any risk of copyright infringement absent total legal certainty. Above all works and semi-access. That's sure or free. Permutation due to the counterbalance switching errors is a way the plan could be done. The counterbalance links harder to both the sides as words of both worlds are showing litigation to redundancy and bespoke disposals. Traders can move with costs of their with the creation of rules and litigation with the walls unclear if there's an existing region disability region this will cost the cost will be reduced if the tax of the extension boxes out there. Different money with rules for different contexts and orders to be filled with all rules determine the regime and eventually follow would create a new regime field of bank with that and also increase the cost of the also be questioned the determination of the result may be arise in litigation. Court. Courts are structurally doomed and not credible in House 98. The cross-country courts are welcome to advocate cases up to the first year sensible, increase judgment public score by 80 billion, legal influence in the House of the 744,000 cases, and 70% increase depending on the last second, the pressing all the work done in litigation demands, and out of public confidence, neither the judiciary, there's no link. What is scope? The plan doesn't create new rules, but instead reinterprets existing doctrine, which isn't that difficult. That's a short offer evidence. Who is dumped? Field and leadership, applied license and copyright misuse, the exact tools used by the plan respectfully. That's true. Over 3 is link term. The plan reclarifies misuse, offering the doctrine predictability and reducing inevitable future challenges. That's true. 4th is incoherent. The plan is not normal moral rights. It's about indigenous knowledge, which isn't linked to the fiat solve. You get good faith implementation, which could include allocating resources to the courts, non-intrinsic. We do the plan alcohol the courts. No, if internal link render 20. Look at the lacking proof or rather than obstacle courts. If the particular Jewish higher evidence is floating against your merge because it has to pass the rules of the research that they're how to read out the case doctrine to serve judicial researches, claim decision, each inclusion, application order, and case consolation that prevent lawsuits, settlement case in multiple courts. Direct launches impacts. There's no I said that no impact. Apollo 18 depths of governance and effective climate animals, pollution by nuclear waste, political cyber, financial security, political records, terror, sinister official performance, the by partisan credit with ready to attachment, or also preferences failed to translate policy, for example, gun control, spillover. Recession now, clause 121. No service brand covered the basic case of recession resolution, the only version of the version, and the three other removing the opposite version, even as if lower the discovery, the time last week, long-term inflation expectation, lower the 2% target, you see that, original bond use of risk premiums, factors, high rate, make sure that offerings of the percentage to the investor proud elections, recession, the lock-in, and 3 of yield curve inversions. SCOTUS decision last term triggers the link. Walker 24, significantly spending to recovery copyright inversion, the Supreme Court held the copyright tax statute of limitations, is the courts of any kind of silly or copyright infringement action that was for land to see damage going to go back to accident, and creates a land by for defendants, and has become more costly later in recent infringement lawsuits with infringement for no years ago. No link. The app has nothing to do with fair use. It doesn't touch or affect it in any way, shape, or form. So they just added zero risk. The rehighlight says nothing. Just because some of our cards say the word fair use doesn't mean we do it. This card says fair use could apply to the materials, not that it must or could. Era, if we wrote the plan, and they could have asked in cross-text. The plan doesn't create new rules, but instead reinterprets existing doctrine, which is narrowly interpreted and cannot spill over. That's short for 18. Our focus on the Holocaust, the shower, or kind of the attributes and the circumstances the scope of this leaves future research. Caused by the other stuff from above, there's no positive correlation. Consider 50 positive correlation between a great flexibility corporates also they know without just inflation, size of economies, difference laws or deficit. We don't declare overall growth, US laws or return that remedies will handle logistics have very few use present. Left use from defense use corporates like the methodology precludes claims that we corporate increased growth. No economy impact. It's stuff like it's dumped by COVID in 08. No return to a Germany. One is logic. US decline causes a global recession proven by 08. This preserves supremacy because all countries are brought down to is the economy's indicator is wrong. Probably 24 GDP is eligible to see Chinese due to the character by economic cost and age population, demographic over exploration, energy, land and industrialization and causing scarcity, internal burdens, increasing cost of money is wasted. Economic is not that determines the power. Understanding that power is complex. With some treasury given no capable to the deeply synthetic inflation lose resources. Some actors are better recovered. The GDP is not correlated to tech or innovation capacity on skills. Everton cannot be bought off military ball. It would be brittle. Captain. Framework only value plaintiffs are only prefer unpredictable critiques to decimate fairness to clash that turns well because you can't research a permutation to both either overcomes links or can't overcome status code. There's no link. The plan doesn't expand neoliberal control. It's mostly protection of works that lack market value and thus must be circulated by institutions that sure are for a conduits of voter time statutes affirmed by and sometimes no cost counterbalance decisive to see dispatch on fairness and research kicking. If firms are the results or offense, permutation to the plan in all other instances cap sustainable. Right 20. Despite sounding public, the extensive weekly wrong people publish on the metal run out of habitat and helps on sugar children's surprise mechanism of recourse to those find use how we have ways to grow more fine or only better use. Economies grow consumption is decreasing war, getting more from less. Inequality, one no impact, done by decades of inequality without war to its link turn. Bennett 24, a governance is a relation company that may be condition one, balance with regime or develop the research that economic position with reduce healthcare inequality, the great equity and education justice as well as higher economic ability, no link. IP exists regardless of the app. There's no reason why the plan uniquely causes capitalism. The all fails. Epistemic fiat voting issue is possible. To if you pretend everyone's age will same with private actor fiat. Floating picks decimate the app because they're unpredictable. And private actor fiat means we can't get deficits. But the military, police, and Second Amendment fans, 0 the 11th, 25 years not on the president's revolution, the most powerful military base backed by Trump. Then 665,000 police officers are even also heavily officers will prefer war to Marxist government. The overwhelming force will be rated 73%. Identified smarter conservatives when policy moves less opinion move right support for healthcare here. It'll go after ACA. All it's either coup or election pain. Both are impossible. It's 21. How think public creation or control of institution through an election or coup? Whatever the movement would have to control military, which will always put an end to revolution. There will be counter-revolution by the former elites and other coaches that have to provide a population with roots and mission. Then enforce falsehoods, counter-revolutionaries given time for becoming a revolution is unlike.
Good. Okay, reasons to reject it.
Condo, epistemic fiat, private actor fiat, and floating picks. I think that's it.
Okay, cool. First question is, let's say there are multiple like people that were in the Holocaust that contributed to the creation of a work. How does the familiar ownership of that work after that?
Well, if there's multiple people contributing to a work, that would either A, be resolved by how copyright currently allocates it when there's multiple people doing work.
How is it currently allocated?
Well, the copyright office would look at the historical significance of the work, look at the
Well, it's not about the significance though, it's about who created it.
Yeah, so if you look back at the historical context, you can see who created it.
So
what
even if
created
multiple people created the work,
Well,
the ownership can only be assigned to one of them.
It's like just whatever the copyright office uses now. If there's multiple people doing one copyright, either A, they both get protection, or B, just
Wait.
one.
What part of the plan makes it so that both of them get protection?
Or B, no, I'm just saying, copyright office generally, if multiple people file for copyright the same thing in general, irregardless of the plan, either A, they both get protection, or B, they wouldn't be eligible for protection in the first place.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. The next question is the clog this out. The argument about not creating new rules, why does this mean that there aren't complex cases as a result of that?
Well, because most of the complexity around the plan would already be resolved, because we only reinterpret existing doctrine that has been court precedent for decades and decades and decades, so it can't cause that much complexity because that complexity was already resolved years ago.
Okay, cool. The next question is on the sui generis counterplan. Why would it be a separate but equal system?
Well, because it marginalizes and says that Jewish works can't fit within existing frameworks or sure or free card. So that this is like
Well, like
kind
what
of
part of your card says that they want copyright though? It just says that they want their works
well,
to be protected.
the last card and the one you see is about like the entire article is about copyright, why copyright is necessary, and it explicitly says that they're calling for the plan. And then the sure or free card says that it's like a sort of marginalization, putting Jewish people into the other planet by saying they don't belong in current copyright
Wait, what card
structures.
says that it's otherization?
The sure or free card,
Okay.
like where it says the other planet and all that stuff.
Okay, cool. Okay. The next question is courts shutting down floodgates before they occur. Why did they not do this during COVID?
Well, the card we read on the core club they said says that during COVID there like well it assumes COVID. It says that there's like it wasn't that big of a thing because like one empirics there's never been a huge caseload on the scale of everything. But second, it says that the courts can use doctrines, pass policies, etc.
Wait, no. The first card you read said that COVID caused massive backlogs. Now you're telling me that COVID was not that huge of a deal. The render card is from after COVID and says that the courts will shut down, or like, yeah, it says that the courts will shut down floodgates. Why did they not do this during COVID?
Well, like the card just well maybe then COVID wasn't that big of a floodgate, but the render card just says that in general, empirically supported.
Okay,
There's not a huge
we have
floodgate
10 minutes.
that like nukes the entire government and nukes all of democracy function.
We have someone who
We're
just
gonna start this conference with the softball is like you pay for it. Unclear. Because of the different lists that they would have to, and then the salesperson called me and said, no, we can give you that. So I don't know what to do. I tried to get the conference room for George County, but like, which I think no. Like, I asked the students, I said, they had already did one round and they said, it's not worth it. That's all you tell me that it's actually improved our getting on with it. They didn't, she was the deal.
What's the order?
T subsets, framing, collective memory advantage.
Sorry, T and
T framing and then the
T framing.
collective memory advantage.
Okay, so T case.
Yes.
two impacts. First, the limits would outweigh an internal link to their offense. They expose the topic to an infinite number of improvements. They can expand copyright protections over any specific literary work, art piece, architecture, or song. They can trademark any product, service, or symbol. They can patent any weapon, software, vehicle, code, tool, type of medicine, or algorithm. The impacts to education and clash. Their term allows you obscure and unpredictable firm to lead to an unreasonable research burden for an create space where detectives are forced to go for generic and deceptive announcements, links, and generic counterpoint which ruins clash when a small topic is devised in-depth rate centered around core topic controversy. Second is ground, which frame their arguments because their offense doesn't assume a reduction in ground. There's no unifying net ground links and examples listed above that makes it functionally impossible to be negative. The impact is fairness. We all debate because of actual ground and equal chance for the ballot. Unfairness destroys the activity and obviates all of their offense. So answer to one is we mean plain text in a vacuum. Can see that plain text in a vacuum is always arbitrary weighted value and topicality. They don't meet in a vacuum. They explicitly say that they only expand copyright protections within Holocaust works. The violation is pretty clear. And then 282 is the counter-intervention. That's the top any of our offense, which I explained above. In the amount of would allow us to pick any tiny portion of any of the three topic areas, which obviously does not solve our offense. Next, they say after ground, but it's wrong. One, we don't overlimit. Actually makes it easier to acquire paths by lowering the core requirements. Just yet, then you have patentable to individuals be statutory, novel, useful, and non-obvious. It could also lower the three copyright requirements. Zimmerman, no mistakes. The requirements of copyright must be overcome authorship by original consent and intangible meaning of expression. And the three trademark requirements. Continuous and 23 formatting trademark requirements of comments with other trademarks and segments using commerce and capability to be identifier. And no offense based on Jewish rights specifically. They can read a plan that modifies fair use, modifies copyright misuse, or implied licensing standards, and then read the advantages that include their literature, which prove that there's a topical version of the firm they could read under our interpretation. But two is that Pic's offense is wrong. A, Pic's are inevitable, but they're better neg than the app because subsets are easy for big apps. Turning every app into subsets makes being neg significantly more difficult. It's for the limits impact, but universal apps will get the universal letting of universally heat deficits and storing the heat deficits that meet any of those Pic's. B is that app teams get perms that have required more time to research and counterpoint than I can have with each app. You only need one certain heat deficit if your app. You only need a whole case neg if you're neg. C is that neg ground always app ground because the neg is reactionary and they have an expertise bias for core generics. D is beat on theory. If two Pic's are unbeatable, judges would reject them regardless of their substantive merit. This also means that Pic's bad is not offense. You can still vote neg and then say that Pic's are bad. 3, depth before breadth. Limit topic turns your education arguments in our topic is floor, not a ceiling. Teams will always find ways to innovate upwards to find the best arguments. They have to win. They're often uniquely beneficial to debate. In the next argument, predictability. No link. It's more than qualified words and phrases. Before the scholarly represents the intent to present complete form the continuity of judicial interpretation of the meaning of words and phrases found in courts. 2 is that their evidence is less predictable in the context of one court case instead of a comprehensive index. 3, debatably outweighs. A is neg ground. Insisting the topic is pointless and nothing is unlimited and nothing links. B is arbitrary. Every though evidence has a subjective interpretation and what is predictable and unpredictable. C is topicality. Is deleted because there's no be a card that defines everything in the resolution in the context of high school policy debate. D is precedent. Voting neg makes your interpretation so fast the most predictable. They say functional limits, but it doesn't check. Teams will race to the margins and choose a small subset skirt links to stats, framing through all of their core pockets fill over answers that say the plan only applies to Holocaust works and the link is tiny. 2 is its concessionary, moves preacher more proud because the block has to catch up to shift to two positions. 3 is expertise bias, which I did above. 4 is still unfair and constrains the negative hypergenerics, which one sees can be interpreted to answer. Last is reasonability, defer to competing interpretations. 1, the highest level debates are 1 in the margins. If we win our interpret even marginally unfair, you should overcorrect by voting 9 because it gives the best aptitude sensational advantage. 2, reasonability is arbitrary, no one can know what someone else thinks it's reasonable or unreasonable. 4, 3, worst case are not reasonable, which is both. Frame. Multiply the magnitude and probability of an impact to about relative risk. That's the most objective. It solves all their offense because it includes probability and decision calculus. Probability only framings are bad. 1 is debate. Dropped internal links and impact and view probability. Their authors don't assume the structure of debate where conceded arguments are considered true. 2 is magnitude first. Extinction is irreversible and permanent. Even if status quo is bad, extinction is worse because it entirely precludes the possibility of improvement. Fronting to death, a billion should be their top policy priority. That's or 3 is consequentialism. Our model is a tool framework that values all life equally and framing necessarily assigns greater values to certain groups over others, which is unethical. It should be directed. That's fun. Their model advocates for choosing a 50% chance of someone dying versus a 100% chance of a paper cut. That is logical and proves only framings that come from both magnitude and probability solved. Now they say the representative this is wrong. I explained above. Conjunction fallacy is also wrong. First is that among Aubrey evidence is terrible. It's about the context of some AI called future thing. It's not in the context of debate. It says that metaphors used in fictional works can inflate risk, not the internal linking of disadvantage. But conjunctive technical exception matter more. Debate has a unique structure which we're framing does not consider. I did that above. 2 is that applies to the Act 2. In order to win, they must win. The Jewish people actually apply for copyright that the USPTO grants it to them with the standards set by the Act. That the copyright holders are able to detect tax infringement. That they have the money to sue in court, and that courts will side with them. Plus, they have to win. They resolve all clauses. 3 conjunction fallacies are wrong. People make best estimates. McGuire and all. 18 learning assumes in fact not only participants learning, they know where they are rather than the lines. Conjunction requires uncertainty by a word that affected right not an efficiency of the representative or interpret verbal description theory consistent model of burden and presume and place on diverse presume psychological and but we not understand observation dependent no instruments or real world or rarely apply the avoided the rule notion connection refers to policies and principles results extended the error and experiment to accept probability to apply for most scenarios connection is on hold because the participants learn. Now the other scenarios are wrong. 1 so Vargas says we should be optimistic because risks are being solved by the government now obviously isn't true of democracy which makes explained in the 1 and R. 2 is
that even if humanity is finite, there are still substantial people on Earth right now. We don't have to win the future generations' argument to win the planet would be bad for people that currently exist. Even if we do not kill 8 billion people, killing 4 billion people would still be bad. Now, the void evidence assumes that everyone on Earth is dying in total human extinction. Our impact would not have to be high magnitude to win, which I explained above. The Bergenthal evidence is about the potential positive effects of people who died during the Holocaust. The app obviously cannot go back in time and revive these people, which proves that it's not predicated on absolvency, and the impact the app solves is no smaller. They say usually you should prioritize approximate harm, but the impact to this approximation here towards us because the bias means that you overcorrect affirmative now because you've never experienced extinction, but our evidence says that it's still likely, and they say parental structural violence solves extinction, but this is wrong. Even if structural violence is solved in a vacuum, they have not explained this in the context of the affirmative. They say it's capital low risk. I answer the void evidence above. They say extinction does not resolve consequential first, but I answer that above too. Collect your memory. Solvency starts at 0, except the Greenberg evidence that copyright trolls would kill solvency. They say there's 0 risk because there's only a limited number of Holocaust works, but that's not our argument. Our argument is that they said that copyright protection would be granted to whoever was the first to file for an application, which means that a random history museum in the middle of the country can file for a copyright application and denies it to the other museums. Also, even if there are true descendants of the person who created the copyright, then they would not get the copyright protection because if the museum filed first, then they would not have rights to the copyright. It means that obviously the affirmative cannot solve because it does not establish a connection between the creators of copyright works and the people who result in the Holocaust. Next is that alternative cause. It means the evidence has 0 chance of solving. Elon Musk literally did a Nazi salute as Trump's inauguration, and the leaders have been making anti-Semitic comments for decades. They say that it's not internal to collective memory, but the impact of legalized anti-Semitism still exists in the status quo. The app cannot do anything to solve it because even if it makes one part of law more inclusive to where Jewish people do not, it ignores the fact that everyone else in the government is anti-Semitic. Also, there's a strong sentiment because of Israel and Palestine that the app cannot solve for, which proves that the job has to drop in the bucket. It definitely does not feel left to solve any sort of impact. Book bans also exempt their impact. Lots of states are censoring the books, which proves that they cannot solve. They say that they solve because of museum access, but if the first to file an application is a random history museum in Topeka, Kansas, then no one's going to get the education from the affirmative because it would only be protected in one museum because no other museum can apply for the same copyright, which means that they don't solve education and in fact make it worse because instead of the status quo where multiple museums can use the copyright Jewish copyright work without getting a copyright, they make it worse because they make it so that only one company gets to license it to any other museum. Lastly is that they cannot solve fair use. They say that they solve in the historical context, but there's never evidence that they cannot prevent misappropriation and history textbooks misinterpreting copyright and using them to spread Jewish stereotypes. This fair use means that any textbook or book can use the Jewish copyright in the context of education, but even if it misappropriates it or describes it incorrectly, which only forwards anti-Semitic violence, it means that the app can solve. Let me get water. Okay.
Alright. You good?
Yeah.
Alright. I want to start on topicality. The latency evidence, words and phrases says in should be construed to mean throughout. If we are in this room, are we throughout the room?
Well, yeah. So first of all, you're making a plain meaning argument. We've made the argument that words as phrases and phrases should be prioritized. It's like in the context of all judicial interpretations of law. It says the card says that it's accounted for like the past 10 years of judicial decisions. It's used in Blackwell's dictionary, which is used to interpret laws, which means that it's definitely more predictable than like what you were saying.
No, you've read a card from words and phrases. It's from a completely different article about defining a different
Well, yeah,
word.
it's the words and phrases is a collection
What?
of.
So if a company defines a singular word,
It's
that doesn't
not
mean
company.
that doesn't make them okay,
It's
like
not company.
a website,
they're
whatever.
literally the ones who are
dictionary,
defining
sure.
words for
They
the
define
court.
a different word than in, and then you've cut a card that says that makes them qualified. How does this make them
Wait.
qualified?
How does it define a different word than in? The one is the interpretation of
What?
Bible.
Okay, so if we're in this room, we're throughout the room.
No, our argument is that we should prioritize legal definitions in this space instead of
This
common
card doesn't
definitions.
say that. Okay, sure. I
Well,
want to talk
this
about.
card says that our definition
No, it
qualifies.
doesn't. It just says this website could, dictionary, whatever, could be good. I want to talk about framing. The ORD evidence. Hypothetically, if there's a kid getting bullied and there's like 10 bulliers, is it justified under util for the pleasure of the 10 bulliers to outweigh the pain suffered by the one bullied kid?
No, that's not the argument we're making. We're saying that probability times magnitude should be.
Yeah, but you said like util is good. Like,
Well, no, our framing is not necessarily utilitarianism. It is a question of like,
okay,
both the
hold on,
probability
what-
of the impact, the
what
affirmative
framing
cause,
do you
and
think
the
ORD
magnitude
says?
that affects.
what framing do you think ORD says if not utilitarianism?
We think that ORD advocates for probability. Like the ORD evidence explains that extinction is irreversible and permanent. It says that even if the status quo is bad.
It says consequentialism is good because magnitude is high, and we need to prioritize high magnitude impacts. How is that not definitionally utilitarian?
Okay, for example, in the example you gave, under extinction, all of those 11 people would die.
Okay, I'm
but
not talking
in
about
our interpretation, if extinction did not happen, then it is possible
No, I'm not
that
talking
the
about
person who's
extinction.
being bullied could improve, or the bulliers could improve. Our argument is that extinction precludes the possibility for any improvement that the act is advocating for.
Yeah,
We
sure.
think that's a prior question.
My hypothetical is not about extinction. That's fine. The answer to our Montgomery evidence, you said it's not in the context of debate. Do you think
Yeah.
ORD is in the context of debate?
Well, no. This is like a question of conjunctive fallacy. We made the argument that in debate, dropped arguments are true.
Wait,
The
what? How
evidence
is-
you read about conjunctive fallacy is in the context of some AI making predictions and like telling like cool stories about extinction.
And
Obviously,
the
that's
ORD
not-
card is obviously not about debate either. Like,
Well, no. Our argument about conjunctive fallacy is not like a card about debate that we're reading. It is an argument that we're making that in debate,
okay, sure.
like
That
we
makes sense.
prioritize tech over truth.
Okay, I want to talk about case then. This Elon Musk does Nazi salutes and anti-Semitism in the government.
Yeah.
Why is some anti-Semitism a reason to throw away like any chance of progress?
Well, our argument is just that the app is a drop in the bucket. We think that if there's a risk that the app would cause negative
Okay, so
consequences,
if third
i.e.
generation, if
disadvantage-
Holocaust survivors want the plan, we shouldn't do it because Elon Musk is racist.
Well, no. Our argument is that if there are negative consequences, i.e. the disadvantage, we should not take the risk of doing the app because it literally does nothing to help.
I sent out the one or not. Okay, the order will be the sui generis counter plan, the spillover disad, the cap K, and then the clog disad.
Sorry, sui generis, spillover, cap clog.
Mm-hmm. No, sui generis, clog, spillover, cap.
What? Sui generis, clog, spillover, cap. Okay.
There's a clog last.
Yeah, that's not what you said first. That's
Sorry, clog is last. My
Clog
bad.
is last.
Okay.
My bad.
You know one more time?
Yeah, sui generis, spillover, cap, clog.
I'm good.
Okay, stop me if anybody is not good. Sui generis counter plan concede the permutation was a test of competition to spill over to that concede no link and there's no impact to the economy, which means that they cannot go for offense here. The cap K condo is good in a world of the Afghanistan. Choose the topic of discussion has the first and last means next to be able to test different arguments and go for the best one. Begin what we did first is next flags key when there's no direct split LS for testing a choice for multiple angles. Choose critical thinking for the block construction to AC block tries also causes logical decision making which turns their offense. Third is real world education. Policymakers make conditional arguments to find the best policy conduct purposes for the real world. Four disabilities now solve issues. App teams permanent ring theory and pathways to know are bad constraints of block and turns their offense. All the reasons to reassure the argument not the team. Now the core clog this had. The democratic governance solves existential threats is the only thing that solves the environment, pandemic, civil rights, and authoritarianism. That's a lot of evidence. One is magnitude. The U.S. democratic governance is key to global democracy. Even though the multiple existential threats are likely, only strong governance is able to resolve all of that. Plus structural violence. Two is probability. Anything that could cause extinction, but only strong governance solves. That turns case because the plan's coercive gets destroyed in bias codes course after the plan. New mid 14. Course found copyright reinterpreting light also into complex typing legislation. Every update, the case laws proceeding was largely swept aside. Rulings in court were now and always uniform and changed depending on the course competition. IP laws filed with judges and attorneys quit that guts enforcement. Bid 14, heavy workloads taken to one judges to reach the concern of burden. Working is tiredness and encouraging judges to retire. Observation rates concerned for the long-term health and vitality of our courts. Now the next 2AC1 was uniqueness. The state cards in the context of the House facing an uphill battle and passing the Judges Act. They passed 3 months later. ABA 1217. The judges need to be created new judgeships every 2 years. 30 straight to achieve new judgeships. The House passed the Judges Act to authorize additional judges for the political issue about prioritizing the needs of American people. If this is true, it means that the courts cannot predict floodgates, which takes out the impact the argument they made below. But the next argument is reinterpretation. This is also wrong because this causes the implementation of the plan does not require statutory amendments. Even if this is true, they still link because I'll extend why I see Schiller here. There are 3 warrants. First is legal uncertainty. Statutes that change moral rights. They're legally complex because no one knows what a moral right is or how it should be defined. The definitions that do exist in the law are extraordinary, verbose, and their attorneys want to avoid parsing through them, which also turns the case. 2 is inheritance. The plan allows for moral rights to be descendable, which means that their heirs are of a creator play a role in copyright protection. The courts would have to determine who their heirs are, whether they qualify, and how to adjust the copyright protection based on what the heir wants. Third is empirics. The applicant is tried and false. Countries internationally have tried to integrate moral rights into their IP doctrines, and this has failed. This is all Schiller, and the hero moral links. Group rights are legally disrupted. Once we're in Australia, jump from moral right to a couple of community offering received IP with this race officials and YTK, also receiving protection over other groups' knowledge lacks. Dramatic scope of creators when they are by extension of the term protection rights over indefinite group related IP rights be very default, administratively extremely expensive, and politically and legally disruptive would dramatically alter the large parts of IP. Individual suits for enforcement is the burden. No copyright holders, which is inefficient, and high buckle 14. Speaking on an individual basis, inefficient expenses, the system would increase cost by suing copyright holders to for the end users. Trolls, they independently turn the case to bring 12. Some suggested changes could be reduce abuse of litigation, plaintiff have to use to or cost increase. Procedural solutions can offer limited relief because the prospect of damage awards would encourage plaintiffs to find new ways of monitoring infringement. Even if a few cases outweigh the link turn litigation, it's uniquely time and resource consuming. 17. Factor of fiction time case, limiting time of 25 months. Copyright gets paid at the back decisions on an IP or cannot be reached unraveled. Now they say the sure of free card is a link turn card, but it is not. It is actually a net card. Even the plan applies only to Holocaust works. Each lawsuit is resolved on a case-by-case basis. It requires so much scrutiny that their author did not want to explain the process. Shoe free, 18 may be jealous. Scheme may be applicable to initial cases of claims may be involved. A simple message of massive anonymous words. This would require close scrutiny of attributes and circumstances surrounding each case and exceeds the scope of this article. Now the moral right, the say that they are not a moral right is also wrong because I'm inserting the solvency advocate below. It is definitely about moral rights. It says it like 1,000 times. The next card is the next argument is that fiat solves is also wrong. It is not about the passage of the plan, but about the effects of it, which means that fiat cannot solve. Their interpret fiat is uniquely harmful because it kills all dissent on a topic that is already apt bias. But the intrinsic term is also wrong. It's intrinsic voting issue for education because it's unpredictable. Just by time frame person explodes the research running for negative, which is also bad. The field that laser comb editors does not thump. Our links are about moral rights, which field that laser comb did not expand. Laser comb is literally a steel cutting company, and field is about a poem called Good Tea. They have not explained how rulings in those cases apply in the context of the app, which means that it cannot take out a link. But the predictability argument is also wrong because this card is power tagged and wrong. It says that the plan would fall under copyright misuse doctrine, not would somehow clarify the doctrine or make it easier for the courts to apply it. This is not offense. The doctrine was already clarified by Lasercomb Digital Law ID. Lasercomb is misuses copyright and the court agreed the Lasercomb is made clear that the copyright misuse is available when misuse is not reached antitrust violation. The render card is also wrong. The first is that the card is in the context of emoluments clause, which says that the federal judges cannot give bribes to get money or other prizes. Obviously, the courts can weed out those cases, but those would not be the cases that occur as a result of the affirmative. Now, too, is that even if the courts can predict a flood of litigation, no part of this card says that they can prepare for it. Third is that it's in the context of prisoner litigation. It's not applied to the affirmative. Last is the payload card, which they said is impact defense. This is also wrong. I explained the impact above, but courts preserve democratic values. Gemando 15. Judges must understand implications is critical because for courts to affect everyday daily lives. Courts ensure equality, civil rights, environment, health, and democracy. Courts play a large role responsive to the democratic process.
905.
later. It's the collective memory advantage. The framing page.
I'm sorry, the advantage in the framing?
Yeah. And then T subsets. And then core.
Is there a dot?
Yeah, it's
Oh, no. Still waiting. Oh, there, I got it. There was one card you still put in a dock. That's a 10-point increase. On the body. I like it.
He's on 2 pages with the doc.
water good.
Same as his pages. You want to use it for paper?
They call Clark. Lack of protection of Holocaust works constrains collective memory that culminates in legalized anti-Semitism, racism, dehumanization, and silencing of Jewish victims, which must come first under any moral frame. 21, there's no copyright trolls evidence. It's about innovation on Holocaust works. All the remnants institutions are non-profit, so with no incentive to troll or whatever else. If they get copyright, that's good because it holds up collective memory. 22, there's no causes, they're all after uniqueness because lack of collective memory allows people to be racist. Only the app allows us to control the narrative and shift away from racism. Even if some people in the government are racist, that's irrelevant because our only tool like to solve is about collective memory, not solving all racism ever. This answers book bans because it's uniqueness for the app. The museum thing was done above. There's not just random remembrance institutions in the middle of nowhere. They're in cities which proves that they're accessible for millions of people. We do solve the job that their evidence is only about fair use, which is the app applied license solves because it uses past historical precedent and context to give a consent. Frame. We agree that risk equals probably times magnitude, but they drop that it probably should be calculated by multiplying the likelihood of each internal link. One prefer, one representatives bias debates, saturation with extinction impacts, biases towards it because it aligns with your prior knowledge. Who is AirAF dropped, anti-Semitism is overlooked, and then telling you it doesn't matter in the face of larger things is in line with genocidal tropes. Tech over truth, it doesn't matter. We're technically arguing that there's a probability scaling through aggregating risk analysis, and that there are biases that you ought to account for. We'll also clobber them and apply framing principles to the dissent anyways. No magnitude first. They drop that magnitude matters exponentially less as probability decreases. The less certainty of an impact, the more likely prioritizing it causes worse things proven by a and other things. Consequential sum is irrelevant, we agree. But they drop that we don't think that extinction first maximizes utility. Multiple mishandled arguments. One is maximization through moderation. Intervening actors avert large social risks, proven by trends in poverty and war decarbonization. You're certain the plan solves, so we should play wait and see and prioritize proximate risk. Two is butterfly flag. Totally mishandled. The plan solves future genocides by denouncing genocidal structures and by saving millions of lives. That solves extinction by saving those who grew up to solve X risks. Three is probability. A large list of studies conclude that all their impacts are kept at less than 1%. With the dissents even lower because Boyd calculates holistic risk. Yes, absolutely. Because they drop that we stop future genocides by stopping the ideologies and things that are conducive to it in the first place. T. Extend our interim inmates within, not throughout. That's a big evidence. Prefer for off-ground. Picks are impossible to be negatives can pick out of biotech trademarks, trademark standards, pharma trademarks, etc. With obscure disads that outweighs key to in-depth copying innovation and apps already occur IP key, certainty key, etc. Which limits the scope of their impacts. No limits. Offense picks, prices, and clogs shred all their limits. There's also no literature for entire IP protections across the board, which is that they slay apps because we can't protect entire IP because no one is app getting friendly. Their case examples are all wrong. They still limit us to 8 apps, and those all get instantly zeroed by picks because neg teams can pick out of a single thing to not change their criteria for. Even if picks become apps, they still have functional limits, which will all be below. So offense outweighs because there's no remedy if picks are negative. There's no deficits. Teams reach to the margins for tiny picks, which flips research. Also, a huge net benefit that can field and disads will obviously outweigh Afghan outweighs Negon because it's prerequisite to research, and they totally throw it out out of the water, which they overcorrect. No theory. Even every judge thinks that theory is arbitrary, and there's unified consensus. Innovation doesn't matter. We're going for picks as interlink. Our trip is not why the topic is bad. All costs from their offense. There's no topic disad. And for us, no link. With IP protection itself being uncontroversial and dumped, but strong generics like a calculate or ban credibly an IP bad apply equally to every single app under our term. But one, that they allow any agent ranking limits or process-based offense or clog politics to stable ground under both interms. No offense. Small subsets have no literature, so they wouldn't be asked in the first place. Core clog still applies to all the apps, which is above functional limits solved. JRX and JRX are so strong that they shape app construction. No app is written for debates. Only a fraction of their apps have IP key warrants that are bypassed via layer that with the delusion process elements that require robust certainty and immediacy key warrants, making even fewer apps readable with natural limits. Execute egregious cases. Outlandish plans lack sufficient literature and solves the advocates. They also don't solve. Their interpretation also allows near infinite apps proven by their case list. D. The link doesn't turn case. It requires a winning link in the first place and durable fiat solid. Judges don't quit. Well, the app is tiny and it's typically distributed by COVID and judges love their jobs, so they won't quit. No unique caseloads are skyrocketing across the board and fillings are increasing exponentially. The mass number of pending cases means that current and future court clog is level that's need. No link, one is scope. The plan is easy for courts to enforce because it doesn't create new rules when it returbines existing doctrine, which can't spill over broadly. The Holocaust is incredibly case specific, meaning that no other areas will feel spillovers. To its numbers, the exact mechanism of the plan, what's supported fuel and laser code with implied license and copyright misuse doctrine, which should trigger the link 3 is the link term, clarifying Nazi misuse, builds predictability in the doctrine and reduces future litigation and challenges in the area, clearing up litigation that's sure of evidence, no legal uncertainty. This is an app uniqueness because we provide certainty to the doctrine that has been labeled bad now. No inheritance. Again, the ass laws, apply consent, and applied license means we can easily look at historical context to determine which is all in case, no empirics. None of it is specific to Holocaust works, which was above. No, the group writes cards about traditional knowledge and indigenous works, which is obviously not the app. Holocaust works got protection before, but most haven't because they died, proving that it's dumb. Individual suits are Neville, but there's only so many because Holocaust works, because none can be created now. Trolls was done on case, and realize incoherent. Case by case, doesn't assume how the plan is tiny. We know spillover works is that it's limited. The insertion is ever wrong. It's just that it can protect more rights as an effect, but the mechanism of the plan is still easy to enforce, which is all explained above. Laser Code does apply because you use the exact same mechanism, including more rights and things like herbal medicine. The doctrine was not clarified in Laser Code. It did an antitrust, not Holocaust work, so there's no impact. Democracies can't solve any of the risks of outline. Our card says partisanship and groupthink means that democracies are currently zero, and solving things like climate change. Floodgates are fake. It lacks empirical support. Doctrines and policies solve and creates consolidation and stop it from getting out of control. Our evidence is in context and answers itself. That's rendered the argument is meritless. Turn 3. False and focus arguments. Floodgates really followed by true and also should reach the focus for long time getting if looking at impeccable. Project and art policy overall course they have out there worth of keystones so poorly understood. Marked it poorly understood.
Yeah. there's a few technical concessions that make it impossible for you to vote affirmative. First is that the conceded picks are inevitable. It's a question of whether they're affirmative or negative. We will win that they're better to have picks on. It's better to have picks as countergrants than apps. Two is that the limits is unmitigated. They've conceded functional limits. It's not defensive limits. It's defensive ground. They've not explained how functional limits means the topic is inherently more limited, which means that our offense is uncontested. Now, both the teams have agreed that education is a more simple offense. Only voting negative can access education because the limited topic turns our education arguments. Our topic is a floor, not a ceiling. Teams will innovate and force to find the best arguments, but only a limited topic can allow in-depth debate centered around core topic controversies rather than on specific links to that and generic counterclaims or cases which do not contest the app. Two, the two is a fairness impact. There's no unifying and grounded links to all of the examples of apps that could read under their interpretation. All of the examples of picks that they listed in the morning would all be apps under their interpretation, which proves that the picks are no either way, but it would definitely be more unfair if they were affirmative rather than counterclaims, which most way below. Our fairness impact an external impact you independently vote on, even if their interpretation access in some portion of education only. Our interpretation can access fairness. Now, the picks are inevitable. The picks are inevitable. They say that picks, they're going for the picks bad offense and say they outweigh because they cannot make deficits counterpoints. But there's a couple of other arguments they've conceded which proves that picks are definitely better to be absent than counterpoints. First, they said they're not competitive. You cannot write a counterpoint text that say protect all trademarks except X trademark. That obviously not textually competitive. It means that anyone after you can beat a counterpoint like that on a permutation that proves it's not competitive. Two, they said in the worst case they can strengthen the expertise bias. They conceded expertise bias for the benefit. They conceded expertise bias which proves that the app has a structural advantage in the terms of the counterpoint activates. And even if they do not find a deficit to the counterpoint, they can strengthen the net benefit. Or this also takes out functional limits, which I'll do below. Four is that absence of comparing more time to research each counterpoint that it needs have an equal app. You only need one deficit or one permutation to beat a counterpoint. But if you're negative, you have to cut a whole case next to the affirmative, which means that it definitely outweighs and is worse for it to be negative. Now they say there's no limit base and solve the advocates check. First is that there's a new argument in the morning hours to strike the offer flow because the block is penetrated off of 2AC the mistakes, but it's also wrong. First is that there's plenty of briefs that are filed for a variety of patent, copyright, and trademark applications that can be used as advocates. The app also proves that there's lots of advocates that exist for each immortalized community to get specific trademark or copyright protections, which proves that there's definitely advocates for each of these individual apps on the topic, but the apps on the topic, which proves that it doesn't check, but it's a new argument other way, so you should check off your flow. They say that we limit the topic to new apps. This is not true. First is that they can see that they can expand eligibility. This means that expand any of the topic areas into a new affirmative. This solves our limits offense because it's about having big links to disadvantages, which means they cannot go for a approach to our interpretation that solves this offense. Two, and so they still have a limited advantage ground. Even if the app has a similar mechanism, they can still read different advantages about different industries, which should solve their offense, but it allows the negative teams to have links that are substantial and can outweigh the affirmative. Now they see that the aims that are returned to the solve because it rates the margin. So explain this below on functional limits. If the app can defend the entirety of the area of copyright, trademark, or patents, it means that the next team would definitely have a bigger link to those areas. They say app ground always, but they've made our argument for us. They said the smaller topic leads to more innovation, which is good, which I explained above. But the topic is definitely biased. You know that topic is app biased. The app is winning more debates, and the topic is already bi-directional. Let's try or die for a more limited topic that solves our arguments. Now they say that they all also extend that you can beat the picks on theory if they truly get so bad. They say theory is arbitrary, but if picks truly do become unbeatable, then judges will not care if they vote against them because regardless of their substantive merit. Now functional limits, I'll answer it here. First, as they conceded, this is defensive ground, not limits. Even if we have things to read, does not mean the topic is functionally more limited. This is bad for two reasons. First, it's small links. Even if the core clog or politics links to the app, the link is definitely smaller than if it would apply to the entire copyright, which is framed through the fact that their answer to the tab was they only protect a small number of works through the Holocaust. We do not protect the entirety area of the copyright. Forcing them to do so means that we have guaranteed links to things like politics, core clog, and tweet or something complicated. Two is expertise bias. If all we have is functional limits and generic app teams, the apps obviously are constructed to answer these arguments. They're obviously constructed to answer these arguments, and they'll always beat them because they'll be ahead on research on the specific link terms to politics, core clog, the capcade, etc., which proves that none of these tracks. These are all framing issues that they've conceded about functional limits, which prove that they cannot solve. But again, it's not in defense. They've not explained its defense limits. You should not let the TR re-explain this as doing so. They say the process counterpoints obviously does not solve our educational offense. We've said that learning about core topic controversies that's necessary. Also, again, does not solve it. The app has expertise bias and is good at coming up with deficits to each of these counterpoints. And then each of these counterpoints. Now, they've not yet extended reasonability, which means that even if our interpretation is marginally better than theirs, then you should vote negative. We think that our interpretation is sufficient for app ground, but their interpretation is definitely not sufficient for net ground, which because of all this stuff explained above, none other interpretation can solve having larger links to disadvantages, but only a small, more limited topic and access both education and fairness, which is external.
There's a camera on it. I don't know. I mean, that's what they just but yeah, where the main talk and stuff is that's what Jenny's dance is.
I'm guessing you don't need a cargo.
He said, let's connect a little bit to see if I could do
T.
yeah.
It's too abrupt.
Although he I think it's also hoping that he has to do time to get out of it, but he's stuck with her.
You all don't need a car dock, right?
Good.
Yeah,
Vote affirmative now. Framing issue. The risk of their offense is so tiny that any risk of our Afghan or Pig's offense must come first. The 200 lacked answering 1 yard granting specificity, which names multiple functional limits by name, which answers all of their sweeping claims because they've now grappled the multiple pieces of defense to their interpretation. Counter interpretation. It means within, not the entire area. That's 2 CBI. You're voting for Afghan and predictability. First is Afghan. Their interpretation shreds whatever is left of it, leaving us with functionally 3 Fs: a copyright F, a trademarks F, and a patent F. That makes us sitting ducks to clean negative kills. The impact is Pigs. The 200 is good on Pigs, but not in the unique context of their interpretation. Describe Pigs in the status quo, not Pigs that would happen under their interpretation. They leave F sitting ducks to Pigs out of individual instance of something which has no answers. They dropped a laundry list of examples from the 1 yard negatives. Could pick out of biotech trademarks, trademark standards, pharma trademarks, copyright, whatever, etc. with obscure dissets as that benefits, which are all explicit examples in the 1 yard that the Junar did not answer by name. None of the Pigs answers were dropped. Did not drop that Pigs are inevitable. The 1 yard said that we said that Pigs that become smallest are better because they still have functional limits, whereas if we are F versus the Pig, we're just dead in the water, which means functional limits flips the direction of education and fairness the other way. Pigs obviously are competitive. They make Pigs competitive because they force it to defend the entire area of a subset, which means picking out of one to be both functionally and textually competitive. There's no expertise bias in 200. Grant stands out this, but Afghan definitely must outweigh negative ground. The only terminal impact in the 200 was education or fairness, which is possible to access absent an innovative affirmative that discusses core topic controversy. Dropped Afghan outweighs negative ground because it's a prerequisite to research in the first place. Even if you think they're winning some risk of neg offense, Afghan must come first in every single instance because the guys debate in the first place. They drop numerous internal links. First is innovation. The Afghan is key. Their interpretation ruins that by limiting us to a single thing per sector, which nukes the app because we can never innovate because every single affirmative is just going to be patents, it's just going to be copyright, it's just going to be trademark. It affects one of those 3 things because in has to mean within. Now, second is topic bias. They dropped ass in the status quo already require IP key, certainty key, immediacy, etc., which means the number of workable apps is even more limited. That has to outweigh since any residual neg testing offense, educational offense is solved by the fact that they get an entire block. A 13-minute to a 5-minute advantage is completely unworkable for the app. So you know that try or die flips F. Straight turning the net benefit and finding deficits is wrong. Teams race to the margins for tiny flips, for tiny picks, which flips research in the first place. There's also a huge net benefit, which would outweigh any risk of the deficit in the first place. The drop that they can fiat in this edge, which means that they cannot straight turn new impacts that are unpredictable, so that obviously solves. There's no offense. Small tiny Fs have zero literature around them. This is not new because the block extrapolated new warrants across the board, and then the 1 and T was a 5-second shell. This zeroes all of their offense because even if patents have filing cases, there's no other literature about an entire advantage with impacts and deficits to other functional limits. Their offense is wrong. There's multiple core generics. The terminal do not address any of them by name, so you know it's sufficient for limits for a limits check. Limits is a unique disclaimer that a link or an impact since the only terminal impact was education, which is solved by numerous core generics. Dropped. First is picks. The 2.0 explanation of how picks are good is AF offense. It's descriptive of picks in the status quo, which our interpretation preserves better since next can pick out of parts of AFs, but their interpretation would overcorrect by making AFs auto lose to picks every single time because they can pick out of a minute part of the thing, which is explained above, and they drop multiple examples of picks. Second is the capitalism K. It's a core neg generic. IP bad links apply across the board, proven by smart contextualization of things that happen in this debate because IP is inherently capitalist because it has a capitalist assumptions about private property. AFs that are tiny are also solved by binding IP, which generates uniqueness for patents bad or copyright bad in the first place. The ban, counterplan, and patents bad is also linked to every single patent F regardless, so you know that they have sufficient ground which solves all of their topic education warrants. Third is core clog. It applies across the board because it links to every single thing. Every single affirmative will have to inherently increase some amount of core clog, even tiny Fs like this, which first because they did have links to our app because they had moral rights stuff, and they also explain things about why it is not, and it also creates unpredictability. The fourth, our interpretation is not why the topic is horrible. The drop O causes frame their offense. There's no topic this has for us to know link with IP protection itself being uncontroversial and thumb. Double bind. Either they allow any agent ever which wrecks limits and process-based offense so they cannot solve, or core clog and politics is stable ground under both interpretations. Functional limits solve limits and ground because it means that if Fs are tiny, you still have a bunch of offense. Generics like speech and errors are so strong that they shape F construction. No advocate is written for debate. So only a fraction of theoretical Fs that have IP key warrants that are not bypassed by fiat in the first place. Later that with the deluge of process counterplays require bust certainty and immediacy key warrants, making even fewer Fs readable. This does solve their education offense because process counterplays still debate about the mechanism of the resolution. Natural limits exclude egregious cases. Outlandish plans like sufficient literature and solve advocates. All three of those above shred limits. The two are trying to solve innovation by giving a case list. Their cases is offense, not neg offense, because put them in a double line which explained above. Regardless, they've got it backwards. Debate is neg bias. The drop structure of the block is devastating. 13 consecutive minutes is nearly insurmountable. We're put into plus top that cannot be overcome because we're so technically behind. Even if you give the last speech or a pure advantage, it outweighs their warrants. Now, second is predictability. The two did not even say the words to hold the line. A 2CB evidence is the only one in the context of debate because it clearly defines quote limits and the word following that. Their interpret is completely incoherent, contrived, and unpredictable, which turns debatability in education because we cannot have debates. We cannot have debatable, educational, fair debates in the first place if nobody knows what to predict when they come into debate in the first place.
Good.
Go to bed.